What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode with Phrankleen. Um, if you can hear me, you can see me, hit the like button. Okay. If you're watching these as a playback, thank you for doing so. If this is your first time, welcome to Say It Like It Is. It's a segment where we discuss pressing topics within the Black community, African diaspora, whatever works for you. Okay. So today, we have an interesting topic. It's a follow up from the last live stream. It's called Telltale Signs of Energy Manipulation Amongst um, Africans. Okay. It's a very interesting topic that we can all learn from. And I've got my very good friend Zainab, otherwise known as Z. She's here with me, and Z will be sharing, rubbing minds with me, and then giving us insight into, we're looking at the spirituality or the spiritual side of things and how they have effects on us. I talked extensively in the last live stream, and a lot of you enjoyed it. If you haven't, go and watch that last live stream. So yeah, smash um smash the like button. Okay. And I'm going to say respectfully, I'd like to believe, you see, this is a very important topic and all that. And let me just say in advance, okay, this is not the time for trolling. If you're a troll or you want to circumvent the show tonight, and then you come and you want to start saying silly things, I'll just block you. Okay. I believe we're grown-ups. If the show is not for you, feel free to go watch something else. But if you become disruptive in the comment section, I'll just ban you straight away. All right. So without further ado, what's up, Z?
Hey, brother, what's going on?
I'm all right, man. Good to have you, man. So thank you for joining me tonight. And
Honored to be here. Honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
so, can you do me a favor? Just give a brief introduction of yourself, and then we crack on.
Sure thing. So, everyone out there, my name is Zainab. In certain spaces, I may be known as Z Monarch, Formidable Z here on YouTube. I don't have my own channel, but I do work on radio as a presenter, broadcaster. I have my own cake patisserie business, a mobile patisserie business called Lauren Raphael Cakes. And as a spiritual person, I am in the business of enlightening anyone, regardless of where they come from. But I have a special place in my heart from people, sons and daughters of the soil, my brothers and sisters, because we have a unique attribute as to how we have to approach our spirituality because of where we originate from. So that's just very briefly who Zainab is.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, back to the topic at hand, the telltale signs of energy manipulation. Uh, so let's, within the African community, let's first of all unpack what that title is before we go into the bullet points. Go on.
Uh huh. Okay. So I happen to see my little notification button reminder go off at your last live on this topic. And I was like, I jumped on right where you were talking about, when progenitors can, pardon me, when progenitors, meaning parents, can sort
Yeah.
of engage, not sort of, when they tend to engage in unscrupulously and dubiously manipulating their children's Uri's glory stars, the spiritual database and essence that makes them who they are in this disposition, in this on this planet. And I was like, ooh, how can I get on? But because I was in a space where I can really speak. So
Hmm.
later on, I sent Franklin a voice note. I was like, yo, I need to talk to you about this because I know, I'm not one to say it's silly to think that you know everything about everything, about anything. But I just thought, oh my goodness, this is near and dear to my heart because I am a walking example of a person who's been afflicted and is still working slowly on emancipation. So,
That's
and
right.
is working on how to help others too. So it was just so important for me to communicate that. So honestly, this is my disclaimer. What I
Hmm.
love most about Franklin the Emancipator is that he is unapologetically and honestly himself 1,000%. And when we met on a space where we were in a discovery of who we are, the essence of who we are as a son and as of a daughter of the soil.
Hmm.
So it was a gift to have met in that space, as toxic as it was. But
Ah,
what took us there is what has kept us where we are today. So I'm really grateful for that. But the
right.
interesting thing is, my background, as your background, is varied. So even now, even though I have gone into looking, exploring, or not exploring, going deep into who I am, as a black child, as a daughter of the soil, I have discovered certain things about me. I won't say I discovered, actually. I have confirmed things I always knew that were unique to me and me alone. My background is that I come from a Muslim home, hence the name Zainab. In my family, I had siblings who were Buddhists, so I was exposed to that. And somewhere along the line, I was evangelized at school and became Pentecostal church going Christian. I also delved into Catholicism at some point until I eventually found myself in my late formative adult years and till now, walking in what people know as White Garment Church, which is Celestial Church of Christ, where it is in this space that I really, really started to understand what it is that we are as people, that we're not just what we have outside is a casing, who we are as energies, and the parts that our progenitors, our parents play, and sometimes our grandparents play in our lives. I started to really unpack it bit by bit because of the complex needs I needed spiritually,
Hmm.
as an individual. So I just want to give that disclaimer that I give all respect to Franklin because he has taken wholeheartedly, not just for himself, but for the entire Black community, his journey into Ifa, his own personal journey. But when you stand for something and others can connect to that, it frees them, you know? And for
Yeah,
me, and for me, for my own reasons, I'm still on a journey to to realize my highest potential spiritually. Now, Celestial Church of Christ, anyone who knows anything about that denomination of, I wouldn't even call it Christianity as such, of church, it has very, very strong roots in Isheshe, really strong roots, to the point where hardly would you find, and this is tricky that I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it like it is because that's what the show is about. Um, there, you will hardly find a shepherd, which are the pastors within the church, who does not have a background in Ifa or has not, who doesn't have his point, I believe it's a point Ifa, or is not indoctrinated into some order by birth.
that's
And
right.
that in itself has empowered them to be so formidable within the setting of Celestial Church of Christ. So both are highly connected. So if anyone wants to separate that, I don't know. I don't think they're being completely authentic. So I need
That's
to
right.
say that because it's important to for me to emphasize that because I have a strong connection to Ifa itself because the
Yeah,
church that I am a part of is strongly rooted in Isheshe without a shadow of a doubt,
yeah.
for
So
sure.
let's run through the bullet points that you've got down
Okay.
for, and then we take it from there. Let's go.
So, based on what I heard when I did a playback of your last
Live
show,
stream.
yeah, live stream, you were talking about this affliction of energy manipulation. And
Yeah,
a lot of times, what we don't understand, what people don't realize is that in Yoruba language, I think Franklin will be able to translate this quite simply for everyone listening. In Yoruba language, there's a saying that goes, "Ti ara iti ogun le o ba jani, ogun ta o le jani." So
mm,
basically, Franklin, that means if there isn't war going on within the household, there ain't nothing that can really tamper with you from the outside.
That's right.
So it always starts from within. So a lot of times I like to say my village people are chasing me, or is somebody out there, my enemies are chasing me. Usually it is the insect or that is consuming the crop lives in its roots. So
That's right.
whatever is afflicting a person, I can't say 100% because I don't know it all. I'm not Oludumare. I'm not the all-seeing eye. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think from my little few decades I've spent on the earth, it's safe to say that it's important to look within instead of
Hmm.
projecting outside. It's easier to
That's
find a
right.
solution that way. And so that leads to this idea of coming to terms with the fact that in within the African community, and I want to bring it all the way home to the Nigerian community because this I
Hmm.
know very well,
Go on.
specifically with it amongst the Yorubas.
Hmm.
Um, there's an obsession with knowing what is coming into the world, the light that is entering into the world. There is an obsession, a narcissistic, sociopathic, and almost psychotic obsession by certain
Hmm.
generations. I want to say people born between people born between 1920 and the generation. I don't know. We say Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. I don't know what generation these jokers are. I'm calling them jokers in the fondest way, but
Yeah.
there's been an obsession between anyone who's in there. I want to say in their 80s right now,
Hmm.
early 80s to late 80s, with knowing the light and the universal data set of a light coming into the world. Light meaning broad meaning a child coming into the world. So much
Hmm.
so that at conception, before the child is conceived, the
Hmm.
powerful ones, people who are able to understand, Omo Kombo, there's a child coming. It happens in celestial church. It happens in Islam, where a light can be seen to be coming towards, or a person could, a good fortune can be approaching. It could mean anything. It could mean an influx of wealth. It could mean, I don't know, it could just mean anything. But if they can discern that it's a child, this specific glory is a child, there is an obsession with knowing what type of child, what is the child bringing. As
Hmm.
if to say, those who have come probably spent 20, 30 years of their life, they've wasted their lives. So the only saving grace is whatever is coming. And God help that child if this is a glorious light seeking light. Because the next thing that tends to happen with unscrupulous and dubious people, if they happen to be parents, is that they start getting toxic ideas of, okay, what can I do? What can I do to make, what can I do to boost my life? And a lot of times we like to say these evil people, we may say babalawos or evil prophets. These people
That's
are
right.
in business because they have customers. If they didn't have consumers and a customer base, they wouldn't be in business. So when you have certain people who like to toju bole, which means they're busybodies, they just can't sit still. They got to get their palms read. They got to look into a crystal ball. They got to jump on a plane and go somewhere and get someone to put their fingers in sand. They can't sit still and wait for their hard work to manifest. They just can't. These kind of people, when they keep sticking their noses everywhere, it's so easy for them to fall into hands of manipulative people who are looking to make a bit of change, doing something strange for a little bit of change. And if you go to them and you say, Ejek by me, meaning help me. I'm tired of struggling. I have 4 kids already. My wife, I just want to give her a good life. Some people don't mean anything bad, but this apprehensive desire to run before you can walk
Hmm.
leads certain people to just walk they're too waka, they just walk too much. And then you find yourself in the wrong space. You're so enthralled about, jumping before you can walk. And the next thing you know, they're telling you, okay, do you have children? Do you have
Hmm.
siblings? Do you have this? What
Yeah.
can you put down? So here's what I'm saying. 9 times out of 10, these people are intelligible people. They're educated. We all know education don't mean nothing when it
I
comes
mean,
to the simple now. These people are logically functioning people, oh, But can you see what desperation could do? All reasoning goes out the window.
That's right.
So these people are telling you, okay, what can you need to put something down? You need to lace it, you need to sacrifice something. You can hear the word sacrifice, suddenly it doesn't sound so bad because you're after something.
That's right.
Oh, I do have children. Okay, no problem. Or sometimes they won't say it that way. They'll just say, do you have children? Yes. Bring all your children's names. You bring the
Hmm.
names. Ah, is this one? And then the person is like, this is a hypothetical situation. But it's
Yeah,
as
yeah,
hypothetical, it is as hypothetical, Franklin, as it is common. I'm telling you.
hundred
And
percent.
so they'll tell you bring the names, and then it's usually the most unusual place. They're like, oh, this one. Ah, this one that I put down. Actually, the child is in utero. It's just we know what we want to name the child. Well, this one in utero is the glory of all glories. Is the this of all this. So, long story short, what I'm trying to say is you are the people who want to run before they can walk. They want to
Hmm.
walk before they can sit. They usually are living and breathing desperation. Desperation is the mother of all calamity. It seems like such a silly thing, or so really does this happen? This list of things I've just said that has led to the destruction and the stagnation of several destinies. Innocent
That's
people born into the world, innocent children minding their business, and because these manipulations are timed,
right. Hmm.
because when you come into the world, the list of things that you're meant to do, your talent, that comes from the word talentum, the Latin word talentum, which means to yield profit and gain, the things that will make sure that you leave your mark in this dispensation. There's timing for everything.
That's right.
So a child whose glory is supposed to sort of begin to blossom at age 7. Maybe a child who's supposed to be an actor or performer or an emancipator, a child who's a speaker, an orator, a child who's a healer. Certain things need to start to manifest age 3, 7, 13, 21. These are very special numbers in the universe, right?
Hmm.
If this has been sabotaged and hijacked, the dormancy starts early. By the
That's right.
time this child is aware, by the time this energy, I should stop saying child, this energy, because from the moment you're conceived and you begin your journey here, you are a being and then some. It is in this society we say child, or day, this little person. No, that's why we're surrounded by children who drop bombs and say things, and you're like, wow, this child, because we're powerful energies from the moment we descend. So you can just imagine that someone whose destiny, or I won't even say destiny, whose data set, as Franklin likes to say, your 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 how do you say, Franklin, your data set? There's a way you usually coin it. Your
Yeah,
essential
your universal data set.
data set has been altered for the gain of your very own progenitors. The seed giver and your incubator have done this, honey. That's a tough one to fight. And
Yeah.
the good news is there is emancipation, there is deliverance, there is a buyback from all the painful result of what this can cause. But just as they take their time to tap every stage of blessing, it does take time to break. And
Oh
it
yeah.
takes awareness, spiritual awareness. We call it ikobisiara, ifura. So it's like knowing that, wait a minute, I have this desire to take on the world. I have the most remarkable dreams, and I have the most incredible ideas. When I open my mouth and speak, people are like, whoa, I never would have thought of that. But yet I can't lift my hand to do nothing successfully.
Hmm.
Or no matter how much I try to get something accomplished, it's almost like the harder you work, the person works, or the energy works, the less they can yield
Hmm.
because of how things are. So it's like you're working overtime for someone else and it's being diverted and siphoned by somebody else.
That's right.
And if you look deep in each and every family, I don't care how pure that family is, along that family tree and bloodline, there's somebody that's been afflicted by this.
Of course. It's always deeply rooted in those families, man. It's families.
So, one of the telltale signs is I will use myself as an example. I'm from a family of a number of children. We're five. I happen to be the youngest child. Illustrious family of lawyers, people who pride themselves on being very sophisticated and well read and blah. It's almost as if the more well read and sophisticated they are, the more diabolical they are in the background. I swear that's the way it is sometimes.
Hmm.
And in this family happens to be a family where each and every one of the children, they're just doing big things. I mean, you could Google these people up and you're like, damn, 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 damn. Now all of them I get style with it shine. Now wow. It's in your face.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, there's just one. The one little black sheep, the one little one who just couldn't quite climb over the fence. But that one particular one is intelligent, is bright, is outspoken, even has all the skills that the others don't have. Everyone who crosses this person's path knows that this one, you're just meant for, you're gonna blow it out the ballpark for sure. And like I said, I'm using myself as an example.
That's
In
right.
the
Yeah.
household, found out that even though my parents were super wealthy, they were doing really well. My siblings who were a lot older because I was had quite late. It was almost like my parents stopped having kids and then I came along. I observed in my teens because my parents' friends would always call them to the side and say, why does this child look like this? Why they would say, and I'd be like, it's true, this isn't right. Literally, I was wearing rags in the household.
Hmm.
I was treated differently in the household to the point where I had to ask my dad, was I a love child? Did my mom bring me from somewhere? And then you just to hide the shame. He's like, no, you're my child. And I was
Hmm.
like, then why is XYZ the way it is? So I thought that was peculiar to me until I started to really delve deep into this. And I started meeting other people who had experienced the same in their childhood. Um, and still experiencing it in adulthood. And so I found that it seemed as though, because usually what happens is if poverty low, which means if as far as they concerned, you see the beautiful thing about Olodumare, about the universe, about the Almighty is just when we think we know something,
Hmm.
the very what we think is the end is the very beginning.
Hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is just when these dubious people think Atikpari share, oh, we've already done everything. There's no way this one can get out of it. The plan usually is we use up all the glory. Oh, but the child will become a liability now. What if the child even turns out to be retarded at some point? We don't want that. Eventually, the child will die. I'm telling you. So what
Hmm.
usually happens is people like that they experience a lot of near fatal car, not even fatal car accidents,
Hmm.
random sickness out of nowhere, or they're afflicted with things that keeps blessings away, such as bedwetting for years into adulthood. This
Hmm.
is a thing. You go to churches and they'll say it. This person was delivered from bedwetting, but they won't tell you the affliction came from blah blah blah. They'll just say give glory to God. In Celestial Church, they'll tell you. They'll tell you at the church. They will tell you who did it. They will tell you how it was done, when it was done, and they will
Hmm.
tell you that if you know you want this thing to break, cut off all those people first and foremost. If you're sending money to them, shut it down because it's about to get gangster. And if you're gonna break away, you need to cut off every connection to them. So I was experiencing this very being like the round peg, square peg in a round hole, just being the odd one out, the black sheep. I couldn't do nothing right, no matter what I did. I didn't please anyone, especially my parents, because you want your parents to be proud of you. Nothing I did. I would study hard for exams, do things right, and he'll always be mediocre. But even
Yeah.
my dad would be like, this girl is bright. But you know, when they know they're the ones that have caused the problem,
They're the ones
they can't.
behind it.
Yeah, they can't. Either they will be sparking for you, or they get quite they just don't know what to do. My dad didn't say nothing. He just used to be like, oh no, she's bright. I'm sure when she goes to uni, she'll do well. And I just thought, huh? Anyway, what tends to also happen is usually if they know that they've done XYZ to the child, if they've been unscrupulous, you notice that they'll randomly send said child to a distant country to go and study for uni. If the child hasn't
Mhm.
died by the time they've been marked for death, yes, they tend to do that. And then the
It's a means.
ability,
It's a means to
yeah,
get
the
rid.
ability for deliver, I would say deliverance, because ishegun, irapada is, I like to call it buyback, because if you're sacrificed, you got to buy yourself back. You have to bail yourself out. You have to sort of crawl out of this dungeon. So I like to call it buyback, but that's not what the spiritual Yoruba term is. Irapada is to turn something right back to its original set of data set, to
Yeah.
reconstruct, to reconfigure, reboot right back to what it was originally designed to do. That's what Irapada usually yields, right? Um, there's also I heard you say is it itule? Itusile means to be emancipated, to be free.
Yeah. To see.
Exactly, restoration. So, but when they say thank you, Akoji, when Yoruba say Ipakadarada, what usually tends to happen with glorious, bright stars, formidably bright individuals is because your compass, that loaded pot of that treasure pot, your Ori, because it's so strong, they usually don't succeed in ending the person's life. They just can't. So what they'll do is they'll even tell you, Ali, really, this one won't die. This one is this one past all of us. This one is a lot more
So
powerful.
if I roll back quickly, you know what you said earlier about how they would fling the child abroad, and it's the case for plenty of people. So
They do
in
that.
the front end, this is how a lot of people found themselves abroad. Do you know?
Yep. Yep.
And then they get to that white man's land, and then they face a brand new set of complications
Oh
and
yes.
struggle, and that environment creates another set of complications tied into that dark energy that's already following you, and then you a
You're
lot of
absolutely right.
years you're lost in the system, and then that's when
Mhm.
people start to realize that, oh, hang on, I'm in my 40s now. I've been here for like 18 years, 19 years,
Yep.
no
Yep.
fulfillment. And it goes on and on and on and
And
on.
this is someone, Franklin. This is an individual, an energy who has been charged by the universe, by the Creator,
Hmm.
to come and probably emancipate people, heal people. These people tend to have a very powerful reason of being here, and then their time is one low igba, their time is being dragged. So
Yeah.
because the ori is quite strong and I want to say unshakable, they can't cut off the life source, so they will
Hmm.
frustrate the person. Now, you said something really important. You said they find themselves abroad. At 17, I someone who's born in the UK, had never been to America, was just sent to America. Everything I couldn't access anything. But you see, this is where Ori Isheda, and depending on who you are, I'm not saying that anyone's better than anyone, honestly. I'm not. And I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. But I'll tell you this, there is a reason why you have one energy who has had ridiculous amount of challenges, has thought about suicide, has probably committed suicide, wasn't
Hmm.
successful, you know, and he's still here. And then you have 100 people who are afflicted. I'm not diminishing anyone's struggle, who's afflicted by not so much. But because we only have capacity for what we can bear individually, it will wipe
That's
out
right.
the same thing that cannot wipe out one energy will wipe out hundreds.
That's right.
I'm just saying the truth. So I don't want anyone to say, are you saying that these people died or they perished? No, it is the way it is. Because we all come here for something different. Now, I won't hang on to that one too much because where I'm trying to go is that I found myself in a country where to get a social security number as an international student was a darn challenge. I went
Hmm.
there to study a course that took 7 years. I finished it in 5 because of the way I am, the type of learner I am. But what if I start listing the things I went through? 3 near fatal car accidents. The jaws of life had to cut me out 3 times. I'd never had a license. I was always in the car with someone else who was driving. The people who
Oh.
were driving were never drunk drivers. And anytime I ended up in hospital, these family members, they took their time to come. Yeah, that's when I knew something ain't right. you know, and just a series of other things. Now, we know that in Isheshe, in Ifa, it really talks about how it talks about your do's and don'ts in the Celestial Church of Christ. For sure, when a child is born, the whole point of your christening, Isomoloruko, the naming of the child, is just to get the do's and don'ts. All the eating of rice and the fruit, that's all symbolism. But the whole point is what is the child named and what
Yeah.
are their taboos. What are the pros? What's going to boost this energy? What is going to hurt the energy? That is the list. And it is written down and given to the progenitors. So, can you imagine, parents? I've been at these events because of my rank in the church. I've had to carry these babies. Because of the knowledge I have, I'm able to look at those parents and think, only God knows what these people are into already. Some of them are really young. Some of them are older parents have not been able to conceive for years. So I'm not targeting anyone, but I'm trying to say because of what I know, I don't take that role lightly. Carrying a newborn, a 7, 8 day old baby is man. There's initially I didn't even like doing it because I thought this can me even holding the child, my energy can affect this destiny. That's how I handle it. But you can
Hmm.
imagine these unscrupulous parents. Now, when where I was really going is when you're born or in Ifa in you're told your do's and don'ts, right? Some of those
Yeah.
do's and don'ts is this child must not leave Nigeria at a certain time. That child must not go to this country, or before 21, this one must remain a virgin till 21 because XYZ, certain aspects that need to be unlocked can be tarnished, shut down, completely buried if that spiritual action occurs, which is intercourse.
Hmm.
So you can imagine a child who's just a sheltered child for that matter, because I was very sheltered, just flung into a place like New York, not somewhere in South Carolina. I'm not saying that those places aren't, but come on, New York is a
Just by,
jungle.
by yourself.
Yeah, just by myself, a young girl, but because of I want to say providence. I want to say that I always had a legion, a band of angelic energy just with me all the time. Because when I tell you, I would just came face to face, brushing, with death so many times. I never smoked or drank. And there was always drugs and alcohol around me. Those universities, they call them dry campus. They ain't dry. Somebody's always sneaking something that they shouldn't have on campus. You know, guns. There was always something dodgy happening at some party or just in the dorm room next to you. And I would always almost either have just left the place and a gun went off. Always near
Hmm.
misses. I always knew that something was protecting me. But it didn't
And
mean that I didn't
whilst you were going through all of those things, your parents, they didn't
they
check
were
on you.
chilling. They were chilling in
Hmm.
Nigeria. And then they would show up talking about, oh, I'm going through a divorce. So I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna take care of myself. So what I will say is, from a very, very young age, I'm talking age 5, 6, 7, I used to pray a lot because I grew up in a Muslim home. So I went to Ile Islamic school, and so I was very, very. I always showed spiritual ability at a very young age. I exhibited clairvoyancy at a very young age. I was clairvoyant, and I am still, and clairaudience and clairsentient, all three. But once I got to my early 20s, this is what I'm talking about. And I started getting involved with the opposite sex and exchanging energy. I didn't have any guidance.
Hmm.
Two of those gifts diminished.
Hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? So this thing runs deep. It's one thing, it's one thing to have a child under you and you don't give the child guidance. Oh yeah, that happens too. It's just it's very common when they've almost like washed a garment, wrung out all the dye in the garment and flung it to one place. It's it's anybody can just anything can pick at it, claw at it.
Hmm.
So it wasn't until I became a mum that it was very clear what was happening because I found myself in a fold that unearthed the truth, knowing and truly knowing, having a feeling, being, having this inkling or this discomfort, this uneasiness, something is not right. It's one thing. You could have that for 50 years
Hmm.
and have chains, shackles, and a yoke over your neck. But truly knowing and then knowing, okay, start carrying out your don'ts and your do's and start honoring those. You will see a change straight away. The first and foremost, once I knew what my parents had done, by the time I really knew my dad had passed away, but he confessed before he died. He did. And once I knew the part that the feminine divine energy, I'm going to talk about that next, had to do with it, I had to sever ties. I had to.
Uh,
Because
well, yeah,
Oluka
yeah.
Luku why
I was
me.
going to say
Sorry,
that
what
the next thing is what the feminine divine energy, the powerful part that plays.
yes. So um I do feel like I'm taking a risk sharing this, but it needs to be said. And because I have confidence, and I feel very secure because I've done the work after severing ties. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was almost more dangerous than when I was I was unaware and just coming close to all these deathly situations. Now we have it takes two to make it to bring another energy into the world. And we have the dad, the male, and the masculine energy and the feminine. There's a saying in Yoruba, and I was arguing with a lady. She's a prophetess recently, and I said, I don't know if it's because women just want to empower women. We say this in Yoruba land, that lẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run kò sí òrìṣà bí ìyá, which Franklin I believe means after the Most High, after your Creator, there is no other deity as superior as the mother, because she's a co-creator. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand that. If one is afflicted by this energy manipulation, and it just
Yeah.
happens to be, it's not always, it just happens to be that this thing is ogun emini mo ni nkan mi, which translates the affliction of it's mine and mine to do what I wish with it, which is what a mom would say. It's my child. I birthed her. I forged her in my belly for 9 months. So I'll do as I wish. Who are you to step in and question me? That's what
So
that
basically,
means. And that's usually,
yeah. So basically, that leads to the abuse that stems from a lot of the mothers in terms of
yeah.
down,
Oh,
down
yes, they
energy,
use that.
energies, because you get that narcissistic, and it's true. Let me just say something before you crack on. And I like that leads to this idea of I gave birth to this child. So it pushes a lot of these mothers into a very they become really devious spiritually, because they want to leave their claws into those children. And because it's so, we were having this conversation the other time, earlier in the day, where I was saying that some of these moms, like just the fact that they can't control the adult life of their children. Let's say you've grown to find a partner, you're living your life. It could even be because of finance, they're making demands. In extreme cases, some of them go into these dark energies that they don't even care that you die afterwards, all because
Absolutely.
selfishness and evilness has crept into them.
It's
They
narcissistic.
It's
Yeah.
narcissistic idea of, I gave birth to you, so if you don't comply and conform, I can eliminate you. That's what the abuse of the female energy that I'm just trying to, you go on anyway.
I absolutely, absolutely. And I, I remember I was saying earlier that if one is afflicted and with this energy manipulation and you're aware of it or you sense something's not right or there's a repetitive cycle of just going around in circles, not making headway, always late. Whenever there's something good that should land on your feet, you get there when it runs out. Or even something as simple, I'm telling you, something as simple as you can never get to work on time, as
Hmm,
simple as that. Anytime there's something that it's going to yield a blessing, something that's good, never there on time. But when it's calamity, it's like you're always at the wrong place at the wrong time. Literally. It can be that type of minute detail of
hmm.
constant, because it's like what they've taken your universal data, the person's not yours, person's universal data set, and completely just rearranged it and done and manipulated to serve them.
That's right. That's right. This
There you go. I brought
diversionary,
you in this world. I brought you in this world so I could take you out.
yeah.
That's
You
the
see,
one.
you see that thing. Hmm. This thing that we're talking about, man.
It's real.
I know exactly where I'm coming from. I wish I had better words to break it down even further. Kini yi oti bai mo ya ye je. You see these,
Too
a
many.
lot of these, a lot of, there's some people on here, they might be like, oh, maybe some parents, oh, my parents are so sweet to spy. Good for you. If you know, that's fine. I'm always looking at the wider context. A lot of
Yeah.
the evilness that plague so many people within the African community.
Mm,
If you
mm.
trace it back, if you trace it back, it stems from within families.
It
And
is.
most of them, if you narrow it down, is usually from the parents, the people that
Yeah.
birth, like you've been saying. Because
Your
I've
progenitors.
yeah, I've had so many emails from people. There was a gentleman that emailed me a couple of days ago that said before his mother died, his mother, oh, this thing started from, hey, I need X amount of money monthly, and they had this back and forth, and then um what's it called, and he was telling the mom, look, I can't give you X amount of money, I'll give you whatever I can afford. And then the mother got vindictive, and then it got to a point where the mother said, I birth you and all that, and I will make sure that exactly the same way you went to the UK, you will return to Africa empty-handed. Bullshit.
So basically, she laid a curse. Yeah, she's laying a curse on the child. That's
And
crazy.
she told him that
Yeah,
I will do whatever it is in my capability. I will let you know that I am a woman, and I will use the female energy. This is how
yeah,
vindictive. Some of them, they wouldn't say that to your face.
yeah. They won't.
They would take that to the dark corridors, and they will make demands against you.
Yeah.
I'm
You want to know what's interesting, Franklin? We were talking about earlier today before the live that the perpetrators of these inhumane, cruel, and callous it's a crime as far as I'm concerned, a spiritual crime to do this to anyone, whether it's your child or not. It's just not. It's just not okay. We it usually may be a parent, but sometimes when we have grandparents, which is why I was
Hmm.
talking about certain generation born between 1920s to 1950s. So the third 1930s, so they're like in their 80s. Not too many people are living up to 100 these days, but people in their late 80s, a lot of them, if they're involved in a certain secret society, you want to call it fraternity,
Yeah,
their children, that is our parents, may not be involved, but they tend to sacrifice their grandchildren. Or if they've put something on the child, it transfers to the grandkids. That's why you hear generational curse. There's no generational curse. There's no, it's just, there's definitely sacrificing that trickles down. There's no generational curse. I say there's no generational curse because everybody brought their own head into the world. There's something that you were designed in this dispensation to come and do.
that's right.
Who is that person, I say, that would decide that because I wasted 40 years of my life, which of these children is coming? Okay, that's literally what they do. It's like they sit in a shop online picking what the one they want. This is how they get down. They're not doing analog anymore. It's all digital now. Real talk. They sit down and say, "Hey, don't boy." You even if you look at it, it's not like one shaker. They're not even trying to be wicked. They know their own don't spoil. To what he badge. As far as they are concerned, they are condemned. They are old. They are but it's true because
Right.
what would compel any sane person to do this to any energy? Your bloodline, your descendant. If you don't have something that you're tied to that has basically, if you yourself haven't sacrificed yourself. So what I'm saying is sometimes grandparents do this and it leaves the parents no choice but to sort of play along, or they may not even know. So if you have a parent that's prayerful, a parent that's pure of heart, they may discover and fight for the child. So there's different things. But again, back to myself. Um, once I how it affected me in the bigger picture was, it's one thing to delay a person because this my uri is hard. Eledami bono, bono, oh hot,
As in,
oh hot, oh hot. Let me go back, go hot. There were times that I could feel the resistance. I could feel something saying, "We have to take you out. It has been set." And I refused to die. And I was like, wow. I started feeling formidable, which is why I gave myself that moniker, Formidable Z. I was like, my God is in control. Something is protecting me here. Yes, please smash the like button. And so I found that I was able to coast through until I had a child with somebody. So
hmm,
part of that, if things have been unscrupulously tampered with, you will be meeting the energy will be meeting the wrong person. And come on,
hmm,
people, you and I know that getting involved sexually, emotionally with the wrong person can and will definitely make and break a person's journey. For sure. We know this. That's why you see certain women, this happens, and to the world, they're like, Elaine Shikiri, meaning she can't stay with one man. She's with this man, she have a baby. She with that man, she have a baby. This is all part of it. So in the grand scheme of the person's life, if this person does not, I said, if the person's already so hard that they can't kill the person, they will make that life worthless because the path you were supposed to walk has been. I need to stop saying you. The energy is meant to walk has been so rerouted. So
hmm.
here we go. How do we start? What does that thing say on the GPS? Recalculating. How do you recalculate? How do we reset? You know how they say, I will slap you, brain I reset. You need to slap them so that gbogbo ìkàtàn ṣe I reset adapada fún wọn. Yes, because where I'm going is that it doesn't end well for these people. I'm telling you, what we see when we see people afflicted when they come to Celestial Church and they tell them, Arabin, First and foremost, this is what's happening. But you see, Omanila ti lo bo Ogun because in them bon here, which means, sorry, I'm using a lot of Yoruba because it flows, but I'll
Yeah,
translate. For you to now see, which is why it was, I think Franklin and I are doing this is really important for the African spiritual community. African spiritual community meaning not Isheshe alone, but spirituality of all Africans, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you believe in Ifa or you are initiate of Ifa, because as Africans, we are sons and daughters of the sun and of the soil. We are, and so with all due respect, we just don't get me wrong, Caucasians have their own too. If you hear some of the things they go through, and they come to these churches, they come to Nigeria, they go to different parts of the world, they go to Brazil for Itusile and Irakpadani and Idande. They go to these places for breakthroughs, things that we turn up our nose up. Me, I won't go to Saleo. Ah, no, 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 me, I have to wear shoe. Babala, God forbid, I can't do that.
yeah,
Meanwhile, but that's the topic for another day. I digress. Let me
yeah, of
come back
course.
home.
In
Orienting
fact,
love with me.
if
We're
I
going
may,
somewhere else.
yeah, I was just going to pull you back. But in fact, to add to that quickly, see, I don't care. My own badge that I wear on my platform is because there'll be people with their noses up like the snout of a pig. I don't care. You know, we're not trying to force anything down anybody's lungs.
Absolutely not.
If you have a perfect life, this is not your cup of tea or whatever. Like I always say, this is not about being rude or anything. Go watch something else. You know, the issue I have with some brain dead black folks is they want to hijack these topics and want to turn here to battlefield. I mean, what my blocking in it. For those of you, of us that we are what do you call it, man? Um emancipated in that regard. We know exactly what we're
Mm,
talking about. There's some people that wouldn't even comment, and they might come to my email later. They know exactly what we're talking about because the way I've seen it is if your foundation is defective right from the start, and
mm-hmm.
if you've been say you've been tampered with spiritually, your universal data set, your energy has been unscrupulously affected, right from when you appeared into this world. And they've basically, because what they do is they create an artificial pathway for you. They create distractions in your life. They create a fake pathway for you, which takes you completely away from where the universe would like you to go, right? And meaning at the end of that artificial pathway is destruction. It's a wastage of time, your youth, your energy. You will never reach fulfillment, a lot of ups and downs and all that. And if you don't want to recognize that, that's fine. That's up to you. But for those that recognize that, we'll carry on talking about it. If one person, at least, this is my own, goal. If one person learns from this, I think we would have done an amazing job. Because like I always say to people, if your foundation is defective and you do nothing about it, you see, every other layerings on top, there's no way there is no way you can have a perfect standing or structure in your life. So if you go to the root cause, and this is the benefit of African spirituality. Um, this let me block these troll. I'm not going to give
Are they
you.
trolling you?
Oh no, they always try. They always try. There is this one on here. I'm not going to give them. They are just numpties. Some of them they are sent by their masters. Because they prefer black folks to be in darkness. So they have this brain of a fish. They jump out of their little aquariums and distort. Okay, yeah, media. Once you come with your foolishness, you get a sledgehammer on your head. No
I
time.
wanted to say something real quick, bro.
Go on and talk to me, please.
The beauty of a public domain, the beauty of what the space you created is, you know, a lot of times the truth, right? The truth is like it's like iodine. I remember when I was little and they take you to the nurse's room in Nigeria and they put iodine. It stings. I don't even think they use that anymore. So alcohol
Mm,
stings too, but iodine was brutal. So the truth is like that. it's eventually the same people who be like, "Ah, what are they talking about?" They'll slide up in the DMs and be like, "Yo, Franklin, like this is my problem. I need help." You know what I mean? Or if they can find someone like myself, sis, this is exactly what happened to
No,
me.
like I'll say this. In the last few days, there's plenty of brothers and sisters have come up to me, and I'm proud to say it. Over here, we don't do gimmicks. I'm not your friend. We don't have to do. It's my own service to the black community. There are plenty of people that we're currently working on their divination. Matthew, buy a cup of tea. Go watch something else. The thing is, you don't rock with us. You don't like what we're saying, but you want to come here and be disruptive. Oh my Bahama Dorini is
What?
you don't like what we're
So,
saying. It's not your fault. Go watch something else. They will come here and they want to come. And he said, the moment I see you comment nonsense, you get blocked. You're not going to.
so,
Me,
so Franklin, I realized,
I'm strong like that, man. Sorry, what were you
of
saying,
course
Daddy?
you are, of course you are. So I wanted to say that
They send them here. They're
I
tiny little foot soldiers of the oppressors, They don't anything, let me tell you, anything that's going to emancipate the mind of black folks. Even they
yeah,
send like
the
you and
West
I.
doesn't want that. They
Oh,
definitely don't want that.
they dive in. On my own one knee, they come and they think,
That's
with
true.
their tiny fish brain, is sinku yanyu on the my blocking in them out. You follow my pine down.
So we were talking about something. I started with exploring the symptoms and the signs of this affliction, and then the perpetrators, me, like the
Yeah.
parents. A lot of times, I've noted that if the grandparents are in some sort of order, I won't name the I won't call them secret, the fraternities. I won't name any, but if they're in some
Don't
sort
name
of
them. Don't
order,
name them. Don't
yeah,
name them.
so if there's some sort of order, they tend to it trickles down onto the grandchildren.
Yes.
That's another way it can be perpetrated in one's life. But
Hmm.
the other thing is the powerful part that the feminine divine plays in this is that again, like I said earlier, Ogun emini moni komi, I brought you in this world and I will take you out. I'm your
Hmm.
mother. If you suckled this breast, I carried you on my back and I birthed you Eminimo dejele lori, meaning I shed blood to push you out into the world. Basically, using adabi. Adabi is using conditions, spiritual conditions.
That's right.
That is not a curse. But adabi and ekpe is to curse. It's a curse. Adabi is a spiritual condition. It actually is more powerful than a curse.
Hmm.
So normally I do it. I do it. If someone hurts me really bad, because I know that I don't have the grace to curse, because I do have a lot of authority. I'm gifted. So I cannot curse. It will affect me. I can't. If I curse someone because I'm angry, I'm the one that will pay for it. So the issue here is a lot of not a lot the feminine divine. I want to say we were coached because it's what I saw my mom doing growing up, but because of the suffering I went through, I don't do it to my children. I don't.
Hmm.
And we're told a lot. The people I've had as spiritual guides and mentors hammer it that you are a mother. This is what you have to do when your child upsets you.
Hmm.
Lock into your pure feminine divine. The feminine divine has two sides. Every woman has this.
Hmm.
Yes, I'm saying it. Every woman has this. Every woman. If a woman is in labor, and you piss her off while she's in labor, whatever she says, kò sí yàrá anybody tó lè wẹ orí fẹ́ nìyẹn. I'm sorry, kò sí o.
Hmm.
Babaláwo á sọ fún yín. Wòlíì worth their salt á sọ fún yín. Imam will tell you the same. That is a prophet or babalawo or an Ifa priest or an imam will tell you. Every woman has the ability to be a curse upon humanity or sweetness and blessing. For sure.
Hmm.
As much as I hate using this U word, unfortunately, in the African community, let's bring it back to Nigeria because I have to speak of what I know.
Hmm.
The feminine divine is they love cursing. We like doing that. It's too much. It's our thing. And it's not, I won't say it's that everybody's fault, but the cycle has to be broken. A small thing will happen. kò ní dá fún lágbájá, we just say. So you can imagine a person who is just irritable and talks like that. Now imagine a desperate woman who was sticking her nose in places where she shouldn't go and has found herself in a coven somewhere and she's been asked to put down her children. Just imagine that. So the part that the feminine divine has to play in a energy's existence, I can't tell you. I cannot tell you because of my experience and being a mom now. You can't even be. There's no cap on how powerful or how impactful a mother can be over a partner that she has the child with and over the child.
Yeah.
They're the ones that abuse this thing. They love. I'm telling you right now. They even say it playfully. It's almost like it's become like a joke in the spiritual community. How go me money come alone journey? It is my property affliction that is doing you. It's so playfully said. They'll just tell you because it's so common.
Mm.
Enjoy by me only be encouraging. I can't seem to get headway. I work hard. I do this. I invest. I can't keep a man. I can't. That my dear is there's somebody sitting on a stool monitoring you. Really? Yes, it's your mom. Hmm? And people
Mm.
can't handle that. Great percentage of people they can't handle that. My mom, and the worst one, frankly, you said something earlier. There are moms who will come out, or I won't say mom, people who will come out and say, if you don't do this, I will make sure that this will happen. You have those notorious ones that their brain, they've lost all sense of sanity. So they will just say what they're.
Yeah. Hello? Hello, Z. Your audio. Can you hear me? I think we lost her there. Can you hear me, Z?
Yes. You disappeared and I didn't want to keep talking because I wasn't
Oh, I'm
sure.
here. I'm here. I can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Go on.
Okay. Okay, cool. So what I was saying was you have the ones who are just like they're the Mike Tysons of this behavior. They'll just come out and be like, I will make sure that as you go, you come back. And then those ones, because when you know what's doing you, then you can get a solution for it. But the deadly ones, oh my goodness, the
They wouldn't.
pretenders.
They wouldn't say it to you. They go behind
Yeah.
your back.
No, but check. No, check. Frankly, that one is one thing. The covert, the covert narcissist, the
Mm.
one who adores you. So when the truth comes out at a spiritual reading, before a babalawo, when you go for ishono with woli or kawoshe with an imam, when they tell you that this is the person afflicting you, you'll be like, never. Oh, my mother is wonderful. She did
Mm.
this. Those are slow poison because they're loving you up. They haven't cast you away. You weren't wearing rags in the house. Those that is common too. As a result, even in the face of a solution, the person will wade in the water of suffering because Elton Shewon, the bug is slowly just it's like the African shrew. The African shrew that nibbles on the toes and blows softly as it's biting the toes, and it's literally causing a sickness and disease and poison. But the person will sleep through that attack because as it's biting and nibbling, it's blowing some wind, soothing it
Hmm.
at the same time. Deadly. Mind you, fun interesting fact that shrew terrifies snakes because snakes eat rodents. They won't eat that one. No. That's even in the animal community, they fear them. That's how they operate. The mother that adores the child on the outside. Meanwhile, only yet if he dajo. The child is just existing. That's another one. So when you hear people say, I can't be new, Egbon, it is not because they want to be belligerent or they want to be a doofus, or they just don't want to get it. What is Oguton Jawo is they have to be, they literally have to be clairvoyant to see it. And it takes decades because
There's this.
anyone else telling them.
Sorry to interrupt you. There's this retard on here that keeps creating YouTube account. What
So
is wrong with you, man?
so what
Creating
they
different
saying?
accounts to come and yeah, just come and be disruptive. You carry on, you carry on. I just find it hilarious, man. Like how people have mental health problems. That you create multiple accounts on the live stream so that you can come and spout your retardedness, Abi, your madness. I don't know how that's meant to affect us here. But carry on, please. Carry on.
I might ignore them. You know, like I said to you earlier, they're your face. Ignore them. You know, if
It's
if
it's
if you
it's
have if
it's
you have
just
a
it's
hundred people, yeah, I know.
as in
It's a
no,
public domain.
I'm not bothered. Mo kàn ń wò pé àwọn tí wọ́n ti ta gbà òbí gúgúrú. Like you must not have a life to
That's
sit
part
down
of,
on your
well, can I say
computer
this?
and
That's part of the affliction.
creating yeah, creating multiple accounts so that you can be who are you anyway, crack on please. Let's crack on.
So yeah, I think that we've touched briefly on 1 second because I'm looking at the comments as well.
Well,
We've
this
touched briefly.
have you talked about the obvious signs?
Yeah,
Let's
so
talk.
the obvious signs. Now this can vary, but categorically, we all know somebody like this, someone who's bright, someone who's smart, someone who's articulate, someone who is not, has a natural affinity and is a keen to learning things quickly, a creative, they can cook real good. If you show them something once, it's just someone who is clearly glorious. They walk into the room and they light up the space, but they can't seem to do nothing right. They're always borrowing money. If they acquire something, they can't keep it.
Hmm.
If they're doing well at school, career wise, they can't keep a man. They sure can't. Mm-mm. If they have a man and they're blessed with a child, the next one, Ashikiri, Tapangu, very common. And this is why it's really dangerous to look at a person and mock them. You don't know what they're afflicted by. Like nobody wants to be walking around with a scarlet letter. No normal person. Now affliction, you know.
Hmm.
So the obvious signs also I've noticed is when in a whole family, when you just find yourself being the sheep. But I also read some comments on the last live you had of two people, siblings, and it was both of them had been sacrificed. So this thing does not just limit it to one person. So it's important to have a self-awareness. Start
Ah,
checking yourself.
wait right there. You see that thing about self-awareness? That's
Ah,
another that's another major mountain for people to climb over. Now, you see, in the simplistic form, right? If you know that there's something wrong with your person or your life, your being, your essence and stuff, and you acknowledge you're fully aware, I think at least you're about 40-50% through to getting remedy, right? Now, the problem is, you see these people that we're talking about, these parents, these people with dark energies that have tampered with the glory of their children coming up, have swapped their glories, given it to siblings and suppressed them spiritually and all the yada, yada, yada. Now, a lot of people, what really makes this really difficult is a lot of people grew up through formative years whereby these same parents that you've used dark energies or family members and all that, most people grew up in households where they deliberately throw you into religiosity to keep you blind. So all you know is this mundane, repetitive lifestyle of going to a religious environment that offers you nothing. So most of the victims of these situations or spiritual attacks and limitations that we're talking about, they remain spiritually naked. They suffer from judgmental poverty. They will draw battle lines with you. They speak the best grammar in the world. So they use their six senses. They will bring their university degree accumulations into arguments and try to suggest to you that you're insulting their so-called intelligence. So they would try to make you out like you're retarded. And the thing is, you can see because you are illuminated, you're emancipated, you can see that you want to DM Agulu. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They would tell
True.
you, they would tell you how they managed to accumulate two straight PhDs and all the blah de blah de blah,
Yeah.
whilst desperately latching onto the steering wheel of an Uber taxi. I'm not saying it's a crime to be an Uber taxi,
Oh my
but
goodness. That's so
but of,
true.
but of
Yeah.
course, they will park
Yeah.
on the curb aggressively and turn halfway 180 degrees to you in the back seat and argue to death
Yeah.
that they are fine, but there is something fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
So, because so later in life, it might be through their partners, or they might have a friend in their life, or someone that the universe will somehow, somebody would then nudge them. That's why by the time some people get the awakening, they are probably heading into the evening part of their life. At that point, a lot of damage is already done. They've been robbed of their youth. 20, 25, 30 years is gone. So I have a lot of people that come to me, man. I have a bunch of emails in my inbox
Yeah.
here. Phrankleen, I'm 55. Phrankleen, I'm 52. Phrankleen, I'm 49. Phrankleen,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
only just
People in their
realized.
40s and 50s. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I
there's a
kept saying
gentleman.
about your decades.
There was a
Yeah.
gentleman this morning banged me an email. The first email that I read today, Franklin, I'm going to be 56 in 2 months. Said, I've just realized. Said there was a time, and I'm like, wow, 56. That's like few years to clocking 60. So I'm you don't worry. There are a bunch of people gracing this planet, wading through the waters of life, and they're basically just in a cage.
This is what Franklin is talking about. I was just reading some of the comments and I saw a lady say, I don't agree. I believe that a lot of what, the problems we face in life, I didn't see the person who said it, but basically, I need to say something about this. She believes that a lot of problems people face is due to their poor decision making. I didn't see your
Ah,
name,
ah,
ma'am,
yeah, yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say this. Can I just answer this real quick, Franklin? Okay, so um, when an energy has been manipulated and tampered with, that just throws you, it reroutes your entire compass. So decision making gonna be jacked up. If you don't believe this, then you can't
Mm,
understand it. Now, there are people that are walking around or hearing us talk now, or have heard this before, and they fundamentally know something's wrong with them. They haven't made any wrong decisions. They've literally done everything by the book. I wasn't a fast teenager. I wasn't. I was very sheltered, and even when I was on my own in the states, I lived as though my parents were right next to me because I was raised quite strict, and I kept with that. So I was a very sheltered, well-behaved child, and even in my early 20s, like I want to say up to 2021, even when I met someone, it was very much like my dad needs to meet you because you know, if we're gonna get married. I was so
do
docile
you know,
and timid.
sorry to cut you. Let me chime in this. Do you know how damaged we are in Africa?
We are, we
I
are.
digress. I digress, so that you can crack on with the rest of the bullet points. Do you know how black folks are unbelievably damaged? That we would die, as in, and I mean it, black folks would draw daggers, both mentally and physically, defending the gates and everything that emanated from their oppressors.
You're
Where
right.
you see, when I was in Nigeria in February, all through February and stuff, and when you see people, even people that live in the diaspora, this is not about, oh, I'm trying to, I have never done that. At the end of the day, go say, don't call me. Me, I'm a proud practitioner of Ifa. Nobody would ever say, not one person would say, I've opened their lungs and forced them to do anything. But let me just use the word African spirituality. We're so damaged that most of our people believe that aligning with African spirituality is what they will use the word, it's fetish. They would say it's juju, it's what? It's demonic. So again, you know what I said earlier about tracing problems back to the foundation. So when you look
Yeah.
at the automated colonial system of damage that's been basically installed like software into the brains of black folks, you are actually programmed, even as a parent, to ensure that you raise your own offsprings with the same template of destruction. So if all I know is religiosity, 99.999%, I'm going to force the same template down the lungs of my children.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's
They're so
why
conditioned.
you're
Yeah.
so absolutely conditioned. And I get
Conditioned.
it. That's why
Yeah.
I look at a lot of religious people. No, this is not trying to dish out disrespect, but people are so. I look at some people, they just lack the ability to even have
They
conversations.
can't think outside of that
When
box. They
you
just
when you're
can't.
talking to them, there was a guy recently. I say this, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you were talking about if I mean I don't the blood of Jesus." I said, "Bro, pause." I saw him on the high street. I said, "Bro, are you mad? This is broad daylight." I said, "Are you mad? I wish I have a camera to film you." I said, "You are acting mad in broad
This
daylight."
is why I said in
I
the
said,
beginning,
"Okay."
Franklin.
I said, "Have I ever forced anything down your lungs? Who are you
Yeah.
fighting with?" And it was, "Oh, sorry, bro. I didn't mean." I said, "You know what, man? Piss off. Have a nice day." I just crossed the road
Yeah.
and walked off. It was, "Oh, Franklin, I'm sorry, bro. I just crossed." They they will fight to death to
Yeah. They will.
defend what
They will.
these people blatantly forced, beat, dragged into the lungs of your ancestors. So I
Yeah.
asked them, there was a guy, very funny. He was some, he was trying to, yeah, this African spirituality, yum, 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 yum. What's your name? He goes, Ogundipe. My name is something, Ogundipe. I said, wait,
Ogunaike, Ogudikwe,
this is
Ogundari.
interesting.
Yeah.
Your surname is Ogundipe. He said, yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. I said, what do you know about your bloodline? He couldn't answer me.
Nothing.
He's a 41-year-old man, and he was trying to tell me about all this, and I just walk off. So look at that, the battle alone. And do you know what's even funny? Some of these people that will pull out daggers to defend the sky gods and all these made up religions, right? They have a truckload of spiritual problems. So
Can I
when
also say something?
when they are already, sorry, one second, mentally rigid, how can you
Yeah.
then even get the chance to even identify that this is the
No.
problem that's
Yeah.
affecting
It's
you? So you're more than
self-awareness.
likely going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I was gonna say is that the truth, honestly, Franklin, is I was looking at comments when you were talking and I was listening to you at the same time. There are people asking, what did I do? What did she do when her father confessed? I mean, I saw my father pay. He paid. He paid. You know how in Christianity, certain Christians would say, yeah, you go to hell. No, his hell started here. I think his hell was just here. I don't think there's a hell after. His hell started here. Or I saw him in his hell, in it. And
Mm.
he confessed, like he was comatose and confessed.
I'm not
And
trying to, forgive me, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but let me just drop this on record. There are plenty of black content creators. Yeah?
mhm,
There are plenty of black content creators on YouTube. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. Not many like Franklin. I know what I'm saying.
nah,
This is not self-aggrandizement. Not many. They wouldn't dare to go in the direction that I
no,
go
they
with my
won't.
contents.
They would
They
never go
wouldn't
there.
dare talk about the things that I talk about. It's very easy. If I want to start creating vlogs, a day in the life of Franklin, me, just normal stuff,
Or
skits, and all this.
traveling all over the
Those
world.
are very easy content, man. I can be selfish and make money, of course. Again, easy content. I've got cameras. I can shoot that. If you
But
want to
you
see
know, Franklin,
basically stuff that will make you feel good, but you take nothing from it. There are plenty of
but
them on YouTube.
Franklin, I need to say this, and this is why I gave that interesting disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah.
There's an importance to myself and you, just because of the type of energies we are. When you on your own are something else, but when two people like us come together, it's something. You know that. And so I think the important thing, what made me say absolutely I'll come on and talk because of the respect I have for you and what you do, is because what you represent and what I represent are not different. When I say African spirituality, people think Isheshe and the traditional African spirituality. It's the spirituality of Africans. So there are Muslims here or who will listen to this, and they will relate completely. There are Christians, if they have any sense and they want to be honest with themselves, they will relate. People who hear white garment, they don't believe white garment churches. Anyone who goes to white garment church is a Christian. They just think we're diabolical people who do isheshi and wear white garment. That's how we're portrayed in pop culture, in videos, and because of a lot of sordid and twisted things that they do engage in. So it's
Mm.
branded with that. But the thing is, it's important because you have someone who is a Christian, or who is a Christian, and you have someone who represents Ifa. We're both saying the same thing. So when someone comes and says, by the blood of Jesus, I'm telling you right now, this affliction happens to everybody. And in any sense of you being an African within your spirituality, you gbọ́dọ̀ wá ọ̀nà ìtúsílẹ̀.
That's right.
There has to be a way out for you. And the way out for you as a son and daughter of the soil is to go back home, figure out where the problem is, because it's multifaceted. You don't just find out one day that this is what happens and it goes in one day. No, because it's initiation. What triggered it happened over time, probably before you were even born. So
That's
there's a
right.
process of reconditioning yourself, your behavior, your thinking. And for the lady, I'm going to say this with the kindness of my radio voice, for the lady who said that she believes that it's just poor decision making. Honestly, honey, no, I'm not patronizing you. The truth is, when stuff's been tampered with, it's your compass. That's why we call it Ori. When the Ori has been tampered with, the compass is all over the place. It's running amok. So men that you're not supposed to meet, women you shouldn't meet, you're meeting them, you're laying with them, you're exchanging energy. Now, the issue of exchanging energy is a whole nother kettle of fish. We can't cover that one tonight. It's deep.
We'll talk about that separately, man.
Another
Let's keep
time.
that
But
private
the
time.
minute you start, a young person goes into the phase where they're engaging in relationships, it takes the affliction to the next level. That's what this affliction of energy manipulation, that's why it's so deep.
Let me let
It's one
me
thing.
let me let me sorry, 1 second. Forgive me.
No
You're gonna carry
problem.
it. Look at these. Do you wanna talk about this before I talk? Can you see on the screen?
Yeah.
You see, that's what G Day, I'll respond. You see, that's what, and I come in peace. Okay, I'm not attacking you.
Yeah.
This is one of the things where they've inflicted our
Yeah.
mind
Issue is not the devil.
issues.
That is
Not
Samuel Ajayi Crowther. Samuel
issues.
Ajayi
Not.
Crowther.
Thank you. Say
Yeah.
what you wanted to say about Samuel Ajayi Crowther quickly.
So Samuel Ajayi Crowther was a child that was taken away during the raid, the transatlantic slave trade. He was a child. I don't think he was even a teen. I can't remember now. He was really young, and so he was taken away, taught and trained schooled by the Brits, and then brought back to come and pour out everything he was taught. And so he was taught English and had to find the closest thing to the devil. Now, what he saw in the pantheon, the Yoruba pantheon, spiritual pantheon, as Satan, Lucifer, was this trickster who used lessons and cheekiness and sort of disarray to teach people lessons. An example could be um, a man who isn't cheating on his wife, But here's a bird. She could send a bird that sounds like a lady to come sing by the window every day. And then the woman thinks that there's a woman coming to look for her man. So these are the issue plants out tricks, and he's just known to be the trickster. So if the Satan to me is a lot more than that, you know? And I'm someone who, I won't say I know the Bible through and through, because every time you read the Bible, it gives you a different word. It never just has one meaning. One verse never has one meaning. That's how I see the Bible. But when, this thing was a lie sold. This young child was taken away on a slave ship, brought back completely indoctrinated, and told to convert a language that he probably didn't even know how to speak anymore. And the closest thing he could find to the devil was Ishu, but Ishu is not Satan.
Issue is not. It's not
I'm
Satan.
telling you that as a Celestial Church of Christ girl, oh my Jomi, I'm telling you, he's not. You need to do your research. Don't just regurgitate what you've
When they
heard.
tell you issue lalu or gidioko. Now, let me give you a representation of what issue means, right? So so that you can get this issue, what does issue represent in the practice of Ifa? So if I wanted to demand equity, right? If I want judgment about something, I'm looking for justice about unfair treatment, right? I'm being unfairly attacked spiritually and all that. And you have to venerate the energy of issue. Now, the fair representation of issue, if you see any court building, you know that shape of a woman in a blindfold that holds a sword and a
Yeah,
scale,
Ma'at. Yeah,
right?
Ma'at.
Good. Anyone that sees that in front of any court building, in any,
Yeah.
it could
It's
be home and
justice
away,
and truth. Yeah.
that woman with the blindfold, yeah, that represents issue. Basically,
Yeah.
how issue, um,
Equity
what do you call how issue
brings
function?
balance. Yeah, he
Exactly.
brings
So
balance.
when you one second, when you take what do you call it, man, your concerns to issue, right? So that's why even so let's say myself and Z as an example, I
We're
we had
beefing
an
each other.
argument. We had an argument over money. Let's say,
Yeah.
oh, she's owing me £200, and I feel like she's, let's say I'm actually the one owing her £200, but she got in a major argument with me, and I took it personally and all that. I then take the matter to issue and misrepresent the whole thing before issue as, oh, Z is unfairly attacking me, blah blah blah. I want to venerate issue so that issue can fight for me. Now, issue doesn't do bias. That's why there's a saying, if you want to demand equity, you need to come with clean hands. Okay? So if I go beyond issue and I activate the energy of issue, you best believe that there is a tsunami of bombardment coming after me spiritually. Do you understand? So if she's not going to spare me or and say, okay, I know you are in the wrong, Franklin, but I'm going to go and attack Z anyway. No, because it's a spirit. If you invoke it, it goes with purity. It comes out with justice, and justice will be served. So if you're found wanting, you'll be struck spiritually. And it might play out, it more than likely play out, what do you call it, man? It will play out physically. See, all this misinterpretation when people bring all these things, oh, issue is the devil and all that. This what you're seeing playing out live is the colonial damage. There's a huge amount of misconception. That's what I was saying earlier, that everything to do with us, yeah, have you not noticed? Everything to do with us as Africans, there is complexity, there is a disdain, there's a major dislike for it. Oh, it's fetish. Oh, it's this. Oh, well, and every word that you're using to define Ifa and all of these things is all the English definition and all the words that they've put in place for you to see them as toxic, because they want you to divert from it. They need you in the wider context to remain blind, to run away from your essence, from your power. African spirituality, it's for us, it's who we are. So, and again, the interesting thing is when you make efforts to actually learn, to acquire knowledge, when you read books, when you get knowledge for yourself, you will understand, oh, Right. You'll understand. Oh, I heard Franklin say this. Oh, I see. I get some emails that get really long-winded. Some people, oh, these Ifa thing you're saying, I just delete them. I block their emails. Man, you're joking. It's a way of life for me. And I beat my chest anytime, any day. I've said this before and I'll say it again. What I am doing here about the practice of Ifa, there is nothing unique. The only thing that's unique about it is the fact that I'm quite vocal. I wear it with pride. I celebrate it. I say it openly. There are plenty of people listening here. They have their Ikinfa, they are initiated. In fact, they've been long initiated way before I even found Ifa. There are people that benefit tremendously from the powers and blessings of Ifa. They have Ifa shrine, they have their Ikinfa, they've been fully initiated. I want to tell one if I want to walk Bodu. They have Ifa in their homes. But when they come out, you find them at the forefront of benches in churches and mosques. Why? It's hypocrisy and mental conditioning that stems from colonial damage. Most of the popular Nigerian celebrities that you know in your Yoruba movies, musicians and stuff, they benefit from Ifa. Trust me, it's who we are. But hey, are you still there, Z? Z?
Sorry. Yes, I'm here. I'm just listening intently. Sorry, I had the mute.
Let's
I muted my
let's
mic.
let's wrap up quickly on your,
Okay.
you know, the bullet points
So
you were talking about. The last, you
yeah,
said you talked about
so
constantly having near misses, and then the last. Have you talked about the last two, the obvious signs?
yeah, so always being late to an event, engagement, or an appointment. If you find that you're struggling with just things being delayed. It could not be a physical, like you being late to a place. It could be like if you want to make an application, just when you always, it just always seems like you get to a place at you're the wrong place at the wrong time more often than not. If you've ever had gone through this, you'll know. For me, you just know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's also the issue of this, these are the ones that stand out. Um, Existing, you just find that you're existing instead of living. You know you should be doing more, but you're just there. There's just nothing's happening. You start a project, you can't finish it, and you know you're a finisher and a starter. There's just a knowing. Being aware is one thing, but knowing deep down inside something is weird. Weird is going on is another thing. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
say very quickly, because I know we have to wrap up, is that there's different mediums of this energy manipulation. It could be that the parents use it for themselves, or there's a glory swap done. If a female child is the most glorious out of all the children, and the first child is a male, oh yeah, that's, you know, they got to give it to the boy. He may not have come out with all the virtues, but most often than not, men tend to want their heir to carry, their legacy. So that happens
Mm-hmm.
a lot too. That happens a lot where it's swapped between siblings, and it could go any way. So there's no set way of doing that. But this thing, there's no one. It's just so many. It's multifaceted. Now, how to like break free and overcome this? What I did once I knew what was up, I had a dad that passed away. So once my dad passed away, so much, the passing away of a parent reveals so much. He confessed a little bit and then died. And then I went seeking. Unfortunately, I was in a space where I could get answers. Then my mom, who's still with us, she turned into that Mike Tyson type of person who just was telling me, if you don't do this, I will make sure this happens. So I knew she didn't hide, so I knew what time it was. Now, there's nothing I could do about that. She's my co-creator. I have to honor her, not by giving her money and calling her anything, by leaving her alone. You can't fight your mom. No, you can't face that one head on. Even if you go to an imam or babalao, there are steps that have to be taken, depending on what kind of space that female energy is operating in. If she's the head of a coven, or just a very formidable energy, she doesn't have to be in a coven to be formidable. Some people just come, they descend with certain energy strength. You can't take on your mum. You're an extension of her. So that's why it takes time. Being able to completely move away and keep your distance is a first step. And then you have to psychologically heal. I had to go through a lot of therapy because it did so much damage to me.
No, but let me
And
tell
I
you
had,
something. Let me tell you something. Let me interrupt.
mm,
I like what you said, the way you've unpacked it about, oh, you can't fight your parents and all that. You can't fight them, but you can fight them spiritually. What do I mean? You can actually fight them if there are grounds for it. So let me unpack it. You see, and I connect this to Ifa. Now, let's say, for example, somebody goes through divination or Daifa, yeah? And then it comes out that your mother is in the way. Like all the things we've been talking about already. They've done something unscrupulous and she's unfairly latching onto your life and she's been vindictive. She's done something. Now, this is evidently stalling or stifling your progress and forward movement. Now, if I is if I let it be, if I is absolutely powerful, you would realize that a seasoned babalawo or a custodian of the secrets of the universe will immediately they would they will some of the immediate remedies they'll talk about appeasement, money be or something like that, or eboriru and all that. Now, if more than likely that woman is, belongs to the skies or whatever. That's why in the first instance, if I doesn't go guns blazing, there are order of things. So when they do the appeasement is simply, hey, take this. I see you. I acknowledge your presence right there. But you need to get your claws off this guy's jugular. Take this. Okay? Take these, and I'm talking about these appeasement spiritually. Okay?
mhm,
Take this, let go.
mhm,
Now,
mm.
so, but because they wouldn't let go, nine out of
Yeah,
10
they
times,
usually don't. They usually
they
don't.
usually don't. So that's where things, when you switch up the gears, okay, now that's
Mhm,
where you now tell the difference between a genuine Ifa priest or Babalawo and the ones who are pure charlatans, or they see the problem, they would tell you about the problem, but they wouldn't dip their hands. Because, like I
mm,
said in the previous live stream, if your priest, yeah, belongs in fraternities that work in cahoots with whatever fraternity these mothers belong in, once they see their, let me say, spiritual blueprint, there are claws into that situation. They identify it, but they dare not touch because they all work together, right? Now, if there's an Ifa priest that doesn't belong, a well-seasoned Babalawo that doesn't belong in those fraternities. That's why, and I'm saying this for those of you who are out there who want to benefit from Isheshe and all that. This is actually one of the ways that all these very dodgy Babalawos, how they take advantage of the unsuspecting members of the public. They will identify through divination that XYZ is the problem. Oh, your mother or this, like we're saying, is involved. But because the moment they see that spiritual blueprint, they wouldn't, thank you, Akutobi, they wouldn't go before issue. In fact, some of them might say to you, we'll go before issue. All of that is just acrobatics, it's just
mm,
performance. They wouldn't do the actual thing because
mm,
a well seasoned Babalawo, yeah, when they do the appeasement, they give it time to marinate and settle, things to
mm.
take order and shape spiritually, hoping that once they get the signal, that person would let go. But you and I know they won't let go, right?
They want one Jawa. They don't let
So
go.
the next thing is the Babalawo would take that matter before
Mm.
Ishulalu. In fact, and I'm telling you from personal journeys through Ifa,
Experience.
there are
Yeah.
people in these hierarchies. Kosibo Shegato. if they see that a certain person have their claws, there are I don't want to go into details. Àwọn iṣẹ́ kan wà
Mm,
nídìí Ifá, ìmí máa gba àdá lọ. It's
mm,
a spiritual representation. So
mhm.
it's no longer diplomacy, having a tete-a-tete talk, trying to be nice now.
No hold barred. Yeah, no hold barred.
There is some A22. There's some
Mm,
appeasement that's aimed at the particular individual. So if that's your mother, that's where I'm going. Oh my
mhm,
God, dalori ikuma pada ni follow my pa. Because at the point when the war is going on, Ifa is between you and your mother now. So
mhm.
if she wants to fight and go on with the clause, that's okay. That's why I'm saying, because the usefulness of a genuine Ifa priest is they are the
Mm.
medium between you and the universe, right? They are the ones to help you usher in your remedies. But when they become dodgy charlatans, they will bend the process. Wọ́n máa ti rọ́wọ́ àwọn ará bí ń bẹ̀, wọ́n máa yọwọ́ ni. Tó o bá lọ
Y-
síwájú láàlú ògiri òkò, I'm telling you now, kò sẹ́dá àlàyé tí ẹ̀jẹ̀ ń gbanú ara ẹ̀. I don't care the hierarchy tó wà in the ranks.
It's
Tí ọwọ́ bá
interesting you
bá
say
in the
this.
realms, a máa já ìyẹ́ ẹ̀ dànù ni. My own Ifá
It,
name is Ẹyinjú Ifá. Ifá dá mi lójú gan. Kò sí ẹlẹ́yẹ
yeah,
yẹn, ó máa já ọwọ́ ẹ̀ dànù. But
the apple of Ifa's eyes.
bah, where the problem where the problem lies is a lot of people have truckload of similar problems, but
Mm,
these babalawos, these priests who are in between, a bulk of them, because they belong in frats. It's the same
yeah.
way when you have, in just imagine in I don't want to name any particular fraternities,
Sorry
right?
to cut you off, Franklin. I need to make this point because it really ties into what you're saying. A lot of times, another way of the feminine divine, especially the male, the fathers can do the same, masculine divine can do the same, but the feminine divine, when they're in a society or coven, the way they sacrifice the child could be that when they finish their life in this dispensation, a specific child must take over. And if their coven has decided, it is this glorious one we want, and
Mhm.
then because the child's head is Oriele, Oriye is doing things in the way of light and not wanting to walk in darkness. Koma chibi, koma payo, koma,
Mhm.
koma. So mama tako iniajo, they would that will cause problems because you're not what the mother has put you down for, what she gambled the person's destiny for, the person's not doing it. So that too, what then usually happens is they put a mark on that child. So when the child is now looking for solutions to highlight what Franconera is saying, if you find yourself in front of said wolis, if you find yourself in front of insidious imams or alfas or wolis or ifa priests, they will see the mark and say, Aaron, this is the meat and property of Lagbaja. Let me just be forming that I can do this work. I know if you do amo. I needed to say that. Go on, please.
Yeah, so that aligns with what
So
I
that's
was
why
saying.
you will hear Amikorira, mark of hatred. No, it's not mark of hatred. It's the mark of being appointed as the next of
So,
kin in a covenant that
so,
you didn't
so
stand.
the message I'm trying to pass is I don't
Mm,
want people to misconceive or this thing as if, if these people give them too much, they get their claws into something,
there is no breakthrough. There is
they
a
cannot
breakthrough,
they,
absolutely.
they can't be declawed. He follow my buying down and you
They
follow
can.
me. You
And the
understand?
thing is,
But
Franklin, there's
and then
even in the church that the fold that I'm a part of, I hear it all the time. They say to me that ma balagbaja jao. Má
yeah,
bá ẹni báyìí já o. Ìwọ ṣáà máa ṣe 1, 2, 3. I can't say the things. You keep doing X, Y, Z.
got you.
And it was this X, Y, Z I was doing, and a certain tree collapsed. That is one of my progenitors passed. And he confessed. Usually they confess and die. They usually do.
Yeah.
And I saw someone's comments on Franklin's live. I'm just telling you what I saw on the live when she said it was when a lady wrote on there. I was just reading through. A lady wrote on there said it was when the a certain person died that she got her papers to be in
I just want
America.
to say this, yeah. African
Mm.
spiritual African spiritualities or more, is unbelievably powerful. It's very, very potent. Sadly, it's infiltrated by dodgy, all these charlatans that, and they act as what? Gatekeepers. So they are there to make the race and the journey difficult. In fact, somebody emailed me a couple of days ago and said, myself and my wife have paid about 1.5 million naira to dodgy Ifa priests in Nigeria. And I'm like, God damn, you can imagine.
Wow.
So by now, they've got their finances depleted. They are deflated in terms of energy. They almost like, you know what, just pack it in. If you say African speak, they don't even want to hear the rest of the syllables. They move on because they've been pushed from corner to corner. They've been fleeced by these gatekeepers. It's sad, but it's
It's
out there.
true.
That's why I will always encourage people. Baby steps are allowed in every walks of life. In the first instance, as you start, you have to rely on people and stuff. I'm learning as well. I'm reading, I'm growing my knowledge. You have to. When you understand the inner workings of the spirituality you are into, you will understand. It's like understanding how the engine of a car works. If you're standing next to a mechanic who is trying to be dubious and telling you, oh, the battery is malfunctioning, you'll be able to shout them down. Will you keep quiet? There's nothing wrong with the battery because you know how to check if your battery is faulty or not. But if you have no clue, the more your eyes get big, the more you remain blind because you haven't got a clue. They will fleece you, they will do whatever. So that's the same template across life. But hey, your final words, man, Z.
My final words would be, frankly, we cannot discuss this matter the way that we've discussed it without Iwuri for these people because this is a sore topic. People are wounded and broken, and I think we need to leave them with some Ashe and Iwuri for sure. So my words would just be that whatever the affliction, solution D. The beginning of the solution is knowing, the knowing and honoring your self-awareness, honoring your intuition and your instinct, like something's all right. Seek, and you will find what it is that is wrong so that you can fulfill and do what it is you came here to do brilliantly, unapologetically, and beautifully. That's why you came here, not for nothing else. If the lives of hundreds and thousands of people are dependent on your creation or your innovation or your brilliance or your shine, think about it like this. It's not just you that this dodginess is held back. It's the life of others. The
Mm.
beauty, the whole point of humanity is that we're here to build and uplift others, each other. So when we start looking at it that way, instead of Mofero Gulu, I want to use my glory before I die. It's not just about you. It's about what you came here to do. So
Can we
those are
can
my
we
final
also
words.
say, and I want to chime this in. Thank you very much,
Mm.
Z. I really, really appreciate you, man. You're coming back again, man. We'll have a lot of things we're going to talk about. But
Thank you for
I
having
want to chime I want to chime in. If you come from the bloodline where unfortunately the idea of using tampering with other, because there are some people that will be watching quietly, they won't comment,
me. Yeah.
they're sat in their
Yeah.
home, they're listening, they already have sadly they have an already formed mindset about life. Some will even call us stupid, like oh my wale, they don't know anything about life. They would say
Ó fàjà
yes,
pọ̀ bọ̀
no,
fún mi.
because some people can't exist without relying on negative energy or unscrupulously tampering with other people's universal data set, their ori, their energies, and on like that. But this is what I want to say very quickly. Know this and know peace. Look, if you tamper with maybe someone else's child is living with you, or you've unscrupulously tampered with your sibling, or you are a parent that use your child's glory for your own financial upliftment or financial springboard in life and all that stuff, and you are enjoying um, you believe you are climbing high, you're enjoying social climb, there is monetary upliftment for you, and you think, why should I bother? Or in fact, you've tampered with multiple people, you're a man, and some of the women you've slept with, you've seen them that they are like ajeolokun and all that, you've used them, you've wrapped something around your genitalia to unscrupulously make love to them so that you can use them spiritually and all that stuff, right? It gets darker and darker. The point here is, know this: whilst you will temporarily get away with the flourishing and enjoying the proceeds of your crime, spiritual crime as I love to call it, the payback, the repercussion, the
Mm.
payback is devastating. If you are a parent and you use other people's glory and universal data set, Oriolori or Gologo, to prop up your own children, what
Oh
you've
yes.
effectively done
Yes.
is you've set your children up for at some point for total destruction.
Yeah. So
They
your
will,
descendants. Yeah. Yeah.
there is a tsunami of repercussion that's
Absolutely.
waiting for them in future.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lemuje. You can get away with it for the
Absolutely.
next 5, 10 years. You're flossing in that dark energy and that dirty money that you've made from the use of those energies. But there is a tsunami of repercussion that's waiting. And
There
when
is
that work,
payment.
when
There's
that
payment.
time comes, jala jala lo magbenye,
I
you,
agree.
you escape it. That's
Intatirini.
that's
Absolutely.
all I'm trying to say. It's worth giving a thought to, man. So on that note, stay fortified if you want to, if you're interested in um divination and all that. I'm not a babalawo, I'm a proud practitioner of Ifa, but I have a very, very reliable Ifa priest and stuff that I link. I take your whatever to. Send me
Excuse
an
me.
email to channel1960 at gmail.com if that's your cup of tea. If it's not, go and live your best life. Okay, I'm already helping a lot of people in the background. All right. Thank you very much, Z, on behalf of
You're very
myself and
welcome.
everybody that's watched and those that will still watch later. Thank you so
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. It was such an honor. Thank you so much.
There's a lot more to talk about. Hopefully you'll be back again soon. And
Thank
as
you.
I say, man, on a final note, nobody's trying to force Ifa down your lungs. Franklin is not your problem. Go and drink water, have a good night's sleep, go and live your life. You know, this is for those that would make
Stay
something out.
hydrated.
We're not fighting, we're not drawing battle lines. In fact, whether I practice Ifa or you don't practice Ifa, we, in the wider context of things, we have a common enemy. Think about that. So instead of throwing your energy at me and trying to fight me, look at something else. But on that note, Ashemo Dubel, um, may the universe bless you in all areas of your life.
I share.
May your ways be clear.
I
May your
share.
ways be as bright as the daylight. May
I
Ajay,
share.
may wealth find you
I
and
share.
sit comfortably in your life. May everything that's blocking you
I,
be removed and evacuated. May you
I
align
share.
fully with your Ori. Àdúrà
I
yín á gbà o.
share.
Ẹ
I
máa rí bá
share.
ti ṣe o. Ẹ máa rọ́nà
I
gbégbá o.
share.
Wọ́n ní
I
ọ̀nà kì
share.
í dí má ládàá, ọ̀nà kò ní dí mọ́ wa
I
o.
share. I
And
share.
a máa rí bá ti ṣe àrọ́nà gbégbá. Àní
I share.
ẹ̀mí wa ò ní bọ́ sọ́wọ́ àwọn aṣebi o. So
I
on that
share.
note, thank you very much. Have a pleasant
Thank
evening,
you.
morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Peace.
You real.
Ire o. Ó tún dìgbà